On a freezing afternoon in 1948, a polite man in a white armband walked into a Tokyo bank, handed 16 people a small cup of liquid, and watched them drink it. 12 of them were dead within minutes. He walked out through the front door with the money. Almost 80 years later, the case is still officially unsolved, and the man Japan condemned for it may have been innocent the entire time. Tokyo, January 26, 1948. The war had ended 2 years earlier, and the city was still half rubble. Food was rationed. Disease moved through the neighborhoods faster than the trucks that came to spray them. In the quiet Shinamachi district stood a small branch of the Imperial Bank. It was almost closing time. 16 people were inside, counting the day's cash. A man came to the door wearing a white armband and a neat suit. He handed over a business card. It said he was a doctor, sent by the city's Epidemic Prevention Office. There had been an outbreak of dysentery nearby, he said. One of the infected families had used this branch that very morning. The Americans were coming to disinfect the building. That last part was the key. In occupied Japan, nobody argued with an order that came from the Americans. The staff simply nodded and did exactly as they were told. He asked for cups. 16 were lined up on the counter, for the clerks, for the building caretaker, and for the caretaker's children, the youngest of them just 8 years old. He took out 2 bottles and a dropper and explained the procedure with perfect medical confidence. The first medicine was harsh on tooth enamel, so they had to swallow it in one gulp, tongue tilted back, then follow it exactly 1 minute later with a second liquid. Then he did the one thing that made all of it work. He measured out a dose, raised it to his own lips, and drank first. 16 people swallowed. The burn hit immediately. He checked his watch, calm as a clock, and told them to wait. At 1 minute, he handed out the second liquid. Then the room began to fall down. Chairs went over. People clawed at their throats. Some crawled toward the street. One woman made it as far as a nearby shop, pointed at her mouth, and collapsed on the floor without saying a word. 10 of them died where they fell. 2 more died in hospital that night. 4 survived, barely, and the poison in their cups was identified as cyanide. The killer took roughly 160,000 yen and a single check, and left a far larger pile of cash sitting untouched on the counter. Police found that detail almost more disturbing than the murders themselves. Then investigators discovered something worse. He had tried this twice before, at 2 other banks, using the same script, and both times something small had gone wrong and everybody had lived. If stories like this keep you up at night, subscribe. There's a new one from Japan every day. At one of those earlier banks, the man had left a business card behind. It belonged to a real physician, a doctor who happened to keep obsessive records of every single card he had ever exchanged. Police followed that paper trail through hundreds of names, and it stopped at a tempera painter who had swapped cards with the doctor on a ferry. His copy of the card, he said, had been stolen along with his wallet. His name was Sadamaki Hirasawa. He was questioned for weeks. Eventually, he confessed. Almost immediately, he took it back, and he spent the rest of his life insisting he was innocent. There was no physical evidence, no poison. Surviving witnesses could not firmly identify him. What the prosecution had was a confession and a large amount of money he refused to explain. He finally admitted where the money came from. He had been quietly painting erotic art for private buyers, and he was more ashamed of that than of being called a mass murderer. His defenders pointed to something else. Years earlier, he had been treated with a rabies vaccine known to damage memory, leaving patients able to sincerely confess to things they never did. It did not matter. In 1950, the court sentenced him to death, and 5 years later, the highest court in the country upheld it. In Japan, condemned prisoners are not told the date of their execution. They learn on the morning it happens, sometimes with an hour's warning, when footsteps stop outside the cell door. Hirasawa listened for those footsteps every morning for 32 years, in a cell he never expected to leave alive. Justice minister after justice minister refused to sign his death warrant. One after another, they quietly left the paper and signed. Nobody would kill him, and nobody would let him go. He died in prison in 1987, aged 95, of pneumonia. It is the longest anyone has ever waited on death row in Japan. Nearly 20 appeals for a retrial were refused. And then there is the shadow hanging over the whole case. The way the poison was used, the staged doses, the timing, the demonstration, suggested someone who had watched poison kill people before and knew exactly how long it would take. The first suspicions pointed at Japan's wartime chemical and biological warfare units, men who had tested lethal agents on living human beings in occupied China. Many of those men were never prosecuted. American occupation authorities had traded them immunity in exchange for their research data. Detectives on the case later said they were ordered to drop that line of inquiry entirely, which leaves the possibility that the man who impersonated an official that afternoon was protected by the very authority he was pretending to represent. The branch is gone now. There is a small memorial where it stood, 12 names carved into stone, and a case file that has never officially been closed. But the part that still unsettles people is not the poison. It is that nobody was forced. 16 people drank because a man was polite, official, and certain, and that was enough.